Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Asaph Cafe. It's been a while since we've been here. I am your host, Asaph Adonai, and on my immediate left, affectionately, our aging rocker who has returned,
Yep.
Emmett.
Yeah, I had allergies last week, so I couldn't do a show. But it's been a month and a week, since we've been here, because
Yeah.
it's been the summer camp, so we couldn't come in the day. Sometimes in the morning before the kids would come, I'd do a couple of shows on my show,
Yeah,
The Awful Truth
yeah.
About Society. But that was it, and I had to get up early for that. But I had some really important issues to talk about. But
And through the magic of green screen technology, Emmett and I have placed ourselves on the set of The Sound of Music with the Van Trapp family.
Yep.
And Julie Andrews. So we'll talk about that and some other things. You want to start us off?
Heavenly Father, please bless our secret ingredient, our soda pop, and our time together in Jesus' name.
And another thing too, this is season 16,
Uh-huh.
episode 1. Can you believe it?
Fascinating.
Yeah, 16 seasons at Asaph Cafe.
Yep.
Every 15 episodes is a new season.
Interesting.
It's not a season in the sense of a literal year like television.
Yes.
So that's how many Asaph Cafes have been going on here. 15 episodes,
Fascinating.
and this is season 16. So I'll start with the traditional tune, This Guy's in Love with You, and you can talk as I start to play.
Yeah. So how have you been for this month and a week? I've missed the cafe.
I've been fine.
What have you been doing? Anything fascinating or not?
Yeah, well, I think you know I've been doing those stories.
Oh, yes.
They're called Asaph
Mhm.
My stories. And what it is I don't get into a person's personal life at all. I just focus on the awards and the contributions. And Scott's been helping me. He's been putting the still pictures and the editing together.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done 30 brand new stories as of last Tuesday.
Wonderful.
And so that's what I've been doing and just practicing.
Wonderful.
So that's all I've been doing.
I've just been eating okay, drinking okay, sleeping okay, going to church. Because what I like to do, sometimes I like to, just go to church, of course, but I really don't do much. I haven't, like I said, I did a couple of shows here early in the morning, but
You mean your own show?
yeah, my own show, but there was something really important to talk about.
Okay.
But often, I love to still drink my wine, listen to my Gordon Lightfoot or my
There you
Neil
go.
Diamond
There you go.
records. I love to sleep, I love to eat, watch TV,
Uh-huh.
love my science fiction shows, do my garden on my garden, water my garden. It's growing like you wouldn't believe because the perennials, the sunflowers and the cosmos and the others are just gorgeous. It's been a nice, quiet summer. I thought I was I doing anything in July?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think I was. No, I wasn't doing any phone book things because a friend of mine and I sometimes would do the phone book thing, and I didn't do that. So, I wanted to go to the Celtic Festival, but I didn't have any money.
So you didn't get to go to that this year?
I went through. It's free. It's a free event, but I wanted to drink some beer.
Oh,
I only
I
had
see.
$10. I was running, and the big jug like this. If you want a big beer stein, they were only selling in big beer steins like this for $15 and get 2 tickets.
Okay.
So I just decided, nah, if I only have $10. So, but yeah. Oh, I got from the record stores just for $2 for $1, a couple of other Neil Diamond CDs, but there's some I already have. Oh yeah, I can't even. Oh yeah, good gravy. I can't even remember the ones I had, but I thought they were new ones I had gotten. Oh yeah, they were really nice. Oh yeah. Yeah, I got the one with Saber Dance, the one based on Star Wars. I thought I thought it was a new one that they had. I didn't recognize some of the songs, and it was just really nice. I just really enjoyed it.
You mean Gordon Lightfoot? does
No,
Saber Dance?
Neil Diamond.
Neil Diamond?
Neil Diamond did it.
A song called Saber Dance.
Based on Star Wars from 1977.
Okay, we're not talking about the Ketchatorian Saber Dance.
No.
It goes like this.
No. Nope, not that one. Nope.
Okay.
Lightsaber. So he had a dramatic thing, dun 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 dun. It was from 19 because he makes songs sometimes based on movies, and dun 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 dun, and he went Saber Dance.
Oh,
I
see.
yeah.
So they're just making up a different song with
Yeah,
the same
he
title,
was
huh?
doing that, Death raised the game of chance.
Okay.
And set for honor and sweet romance.
Okay.
Dance in the dance. Saber Dance.
Uh-huh.
Death raised the game of chance. flashing swords, flashing sabers, for honor and sweet romance, dancing the dance. See, he's not the type that says, I really enjoyed Star Wars, I stood in line, it was $5. No, he was so in awe of this. I mean, we were all in awe when you saw Star Wars for the first time. For you kids who don't know, if you had only seen it on TV, you see, I saw it with my mother in 1977 when it came out. It was my first PG movie.
Okay.
But when the lights came down and you saw Lucasfilm, da-da-da-dun, da-dun, da-da-da-dun, da-dun, that whole thing, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and then it hit you, Star Wars, dun, da-da-dun, da-dun, da-dun, and we had never seen anything like this. Nobody had seen Space Wars like this or a science fiction movie like this. So when you came out of the theater, you were like, whoa, what did I just witness? So what Neil Diamond must have done is gone home and said, we got to capture this. But how do you capture this when you're so overwhelmed by the emotion? Saber dance.
I get it.
That was lightsaber dance. Lightsabers. Death rays, the game of chance, because they had lasers. For honor and sweet romance. Remember when Luke and Leia, had that thing where they swung across the drawbridge? Yeah. They must have been honor and sweet romance, dancing the dance of the lasers, because he was and it was a cool song.
Okay.
Speaking of that, folks, look what I have. I saw this. It was right here. It's actually a remote control for a remote control car. It might have even been one of the summer camps. Look at this. RC27 throttle indicator, and it has this, and it fires lasers, and it has a control of this knob, how to control the lasers. And look at this! It's a laser gun. Look at this laser gun. Can you believe this in a model and make from another galaxy? And you can adjust the knobs for another type of death rays. Just like that, yes, that song, from Neil Diamond, Death Rays, the game of chance, lightsaber dance, this is for honor and sweet romance, because this is the first one, Dancing the Dance, it was a really great song, and that was also the album that had the very touching song, You Don't Bring Me Flowers Anymore. Ever hear that song?
Yeah, I know. See, I'll do that for you.
Yeah. I love that song. It's so sweet, and I love drinking wine, looking at my window at the beautiful neighborhood, and drinking wine or beer and listening to that song. It's a very touching song. Don't worry, this isn't wine, this is just soda pop. We can't drink on the set. But yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Good.
Not really much of anything, just enjoying the summer as I can, Had the weirdest dream a few nights ago, though. Sometimes I have the most vivid dreams. Sometimes I don't dream. Some of it's too personal to explain, but for some reason I dreamed, I'm a Christian, so I'm not into the nightlife. I'm not into fancy hotels, riches, wealth, or Las Vegas.
Yeah.
But I dreamed I was in Las Vegas in some 10-star hotel. This thing was huge.
You were a 10-star in Vegas, is what you're saying?
Well, yeah, and instead of 5-star, it was so fancy, it would have been a 10-star hotel.
Okay.
I dreamed I was in this huge hotel and motel, one of the fancy things.
Yeah.
Somewhere they had all these fancy restaurants and these incredible, and I don't like to swim, so why was I dreaming about swimming pools? And these were luxurious, like had green crystal water, blue crystal water, and all sorts of people were in there, including celebrities. I was trying not to fall in, but unfortunately I fell into two of them. I had to get out. And guess who was in one of them smoking a cigar? Howard Cosell. He was smoking a cigar and he knew me by name. Hey, Emmett, how are you doing? I'm thinking you're all right. And it was great to see you, Emmett. It was Howard Cosell, the sportscaster from the 70s. So I climbed out and then I went to this candy confection store where they had little, tiny cakes. But they were like $250 for a little tiny cake like this. But they had a sample, and it was very good. But then I found I was in this luxurious fur coat with fancy clothes. What was, and I kept going on and I kept exploring this place, and it's like, that's contrary to everything I do because I believe in humility and I don't want riches. So why I would dream about being in a luxurious place, meeting Howard Cosell in a swimming pool, and having fine clothes and fancy food, I have no idea.
Well, I can't answer that, but maybe the Lord will bless you with some wealth. Who knows? You know, it's not wrong to be wealthy. It's what you do with it.
True. Maybe it's a symbol of heaven.
I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows? My dreams can be very vivid. Oh, yes. But that was my dream. I've had other dreams about science fiction and just more ordinary stuff, or old apartments. Do you ever have, may I ask you a personal question?
If I can answer it.
Do you ever have vivid dreams?
Yes, I have.
No, same here. I even write them down in a dream diary. Many are too personal to share,
Yeah.
because they deal with, but
half the time when I dream, I don't remember what I dreamt.
same here. I didn't remember my dreams last night, but this one I remember.
Okay.
Thing is, dreams, however, are important to survive. That wasn't just on Star Trek The Next Generation. REM sleep, rapid eye movement, it helps you, process what you've done through the day, or in even some of your deepest fears or deepest dreams that your subconscious you won't admit. Did you ever see the Star Trek The Next Generation episode about that called Night Terrors?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, it was one of my favorites. It was about where the Starship Enterprise, with Captain Jean-Luc Picard, got caught in a Tychon's rift. They were caught with another spaceship, an alien spaceship.
Okay.
Well, the crew of there was another Federation starship called the Britannia. It was trapped there too. They went on the Britannia and everyone had killed each other.
Well, I'm not as familiar with the Next Generation
Yeah.
as I am with the original, so
Yeah.
I don't think I know.
So
that.
anyway, even the captain, who was a female captain, thought everyone was out together and said, "We're on a brink." And finally the whatever was happening spread to the Enterprise and people were attacking each other and getting paranoid. What happened was these aliens were communicating with them at a different level telepathically, but it interrupted REM sleep. They couldn't dream. They would fall asleep, but they couldn't dream, and the whole crew was going insane.
Okay, I don't know that episode.
Finally, they were able to free themselves and that kind of thing, but it was based on actual science. If you don't dream, you do go insane. You have to dream in order to survive.
Okay.
And often what I like is 12 hours of sleep. If I can get it, 8 hours is often not enough. I love having 12 hours so I can have several dreams at night. Then I feel better the next day. But I don't, a lot of people say, we don't need much sleep. Yeah, you need sleep and you need REM sleep. Rapid eye movement, because you're dreaming, And of course, all my dreams are in Technicolor too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all my dreams are in Technicolor. I don't see myself doing things. If I'm in a dream, like in that fancy hotel, the swimming pool, I'm doing this just as I would, see you, or if I were interacting with you, but I don't see myself, and it's in Technicolor. That's why the swimming pools were blue and green. If I actually fall into the water and feel the whole thing or whatever, I don't really feel pain. You can't feel pain in a dream, but then I crawl out, I'm wetting the whole thing, I go into a restaurant, whatever it is.
Uh-huh.
But it's all my dreams are in Technicolor, and this one was vivid color.
Well, my dreams, I can't even remember, so
Yeah.
I just wake up and thank you God for another day, because I don't remember half the stuff I dream.
And thing is, I was never even a fan of Howard Cosell.
Well, you wouldn't be old enough to really know him, would you?
Well, I've heard of him, and I was a kid in the 70s when he was doing a sportscaster thing, so I was 10. I've heard of him. Probably read about him in TV Guide when I was 11 or 12 years old.
He was probably one of the most prominent sportscaster in the 70s.
Yeah, so I would have remembered him, but why he had a cigar with him in a fancy swimming pool, knew me by name.
Well,
Hey,
you know what that makes me think of? Are you familiar with the Bob Newhart show at all?
No, I've heard of it.
Okay, the Bob Newhart show, he played a psychologist in this series, and he was married to a lady named Emily.
Uh-huh.
Now, keep that thought in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when that series ended, Bob Newhart eventually had another series called Newhart instead of the Bob Newhart show, where he played this innkeeper in Vermont. Now, what's interesting, putting these two shows together, at the end of the second series, Newhart, he gets hit by a golf ball, in the last episode.
Yeah.
And so when he wakes up, he's on the set of his first show
Whoa.
with his wife. And he said, honey, I just had the weirdest dream. I dreamt I was in Vermont, and I was an innkeeper, and, he was talking about his second series.
Amazing,
first
yeah.
one for the first series. And then, it was just really funny. It was one of the most funniest endings in television history.
Uh-huh.
Because both shows were very popular in their own right.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was trying to figure out how they were going to end this Newhart series, so they ended with him going back to his first series.
Interesting,
with his wife.
yeah.
It was really funny, really. And so she says to him, well, first he says that he's married to this cute blonde, and his wife was dark-haired, so she was looking at him funny. And then she goes, you're not going to have any more Japanese food before you go to bed. And I just thought that was so funny.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
The way they handled that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just wanted to share that with you. I know you probably didn't see the series.
No, I never did. Wasn't my kind of thing, because I just like science fiction and fantasy and that
Yeah,
kind
but
of...
no, really, that was a very popular series. I think the Bob Newhart show ran for like 6 seasons.
Huh.
It's pretty good.
Interesting, interesting.
And the other Newhart series, I don't know how many series that ran, but it ran for a long time. And stuff like that. So
Is Howard Cosell even alive still or not?
Oh, we lost him years ago.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, he's been gone for,
Huh.
I don't know, I couldn't tell you how many years, but he's probably been gone for a number of years now.
I didn't even know that because I never followed his career, but I dreamed about a dead guy. Weird.
Well, yeah, maybe he had Japanese food like Bob Newhart.
Who knows what I had? I think I had some pizza or something.
But anyway, no, getting back to those shows, they were very popular shows.
Interesting.
Especially the Bob Newhart show in the 70s. It dominated television. That's how popular it was. And it was genuinely funny because
Interesting.
the characters that Bob Newhart had to deal with were kind of zany characters, and stuff like that.
Yep.
But it was just funny. They didn't make fun of people with disabilities.
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
It was just a fun show about the psychologist having to deal with the co-workers and his patients. and
Interesting.
things like
That's
that.
funny. Interesting.
Yeah, it was a very funny show.
Well, that's interesting. Speaking of psychiatrists on TV, psychologists on TV,
Well,
even
yeah, he played a psychologist, but it was so comical.
Exactly.
That it like the advice was just funny
yeah,
advice. They didn't get into
yeah,
depth things or relevant things.
Yeah.
It was just pure comedy.
interesting. Because even on Alf, do you remember? I can't remember the doctor's name, but even Willie Tanner would have to consult a psychologist to deal with Alf, and I can't remember the psychologist's name, Dr. someone over there, but he actually met Alf. He even said on one of these things, Willie was in this doctor's office, a psychiatrist or psychologist's office, and so the psychologist said, let's have dinner. You all right, Willie? Anything on your mind? Any family problems? Said, no, not everything. That I have an alien from space living with me. The psychologist really said.
And so the psychologist thought he was just going a little.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that going around. And here's a picture of Alf. He's really funny, but he can be irksome. One minute he's telling about the wonders of the universe, and another minute he can be irksome. He has his friend, is there anything you can do? And he said, well, I think I need my couch back. But this psychologist agreed to meet Alf,
And he does meet.
yeah, he does, and it's home, and so they can work on the family dynamic and some issues dealing with Alf and that kind of thing. And I wish I could remember the psychologist named Dr. something or another, but it was funny. Even one time, and this is one of the funniest episodes, you know how bored Alf was?
Yeah.
Alf decided to get a ventriloquist dummy. Yeah, I've got it somewhere because I've got all the episodes of Alf. He got a ventriloquist dummy,
Okay.
but he started taking out his anger or frustration on the family through the ventriloquist dummy that he named Paul. Because on the planet Melmac, Paul was kind of an insult and that kind of thing. So Paul ended up being this horrible, mean jerk who would insult. He had this, ventriloquist voice like, the roast beef looks tough tonight. Oh, by the way, here's an imitation of someone who has had Kate's cooking.
Oh, I see.
And was just taking it out on the family.
I get it.
So he had to call, Larry. Larry was the psychiatrist's name, so they called up Larry.
Okay.
Larry came over and said, and Larry said, I got to see if this dummy is as bad as you say. And, of course, then Willie said, actually, he's worse. So he was in the living room, and, Paul was, crushing nuts with his head and peanuts. And then Paul, Alf started having Paul make the moves on, Lynn, the daughter, just make the move. And Lynn said, your dummy is giving me the creeps. That's it, I'm out of here. So then Larry met Paul and said, hello, look who just walked in, some stupid idiot clown. And,
Uh-huh.
well, how are you doing, Alf? And, well, I didn't even know we needed a shrink. I'm small enough as it is, and you look like a dork, and, just, oh boy, even when I'm insulted.
Uh-huh.
Kate's cooking again. Why don't you replace Kate with Ozzie and Harriet? At least, why don't we replace the two of you with Ozzie and Harriet? At least Harriet could cook, just funny stuff. But then, Larry started talking to Paul and said, what do you think of it? Oh, I can't stand it. I can't stand living with the Tanners. And he asked, Paul, what's wrong with the Tanners? Too many rules. Don't eat the cat. Don't drop the dishes. Don't eat the cat. And don't bonk the guest. I never heard of that one, Alf said. I said, great! And so Alf hit Larry right on his knee with the head of the dummies.
Wow.
Bonk! Still friends? I mean, what a mean dog, kind of like, the whole ventriloquist thing. And
Yeah.
then Larry said, and came into, oh, it's very funny, hilarious, your dog's there. And then went in to see Willie and Kate and said, I think I know what the problem is. And he said, have you figured out what's wrong with Alf? Well, you know that Alf has always had to be on his best behavior ever since he's gotten here, and that's been his best behavior, Willie said. Kate said, I'd hate to see his bad side. And then Larry said, you just did. It's Paul. He's using the dummy to blow off steam. And Willie asked, what can we do? Well, I guess you get the dummy a dummy, but then you have a really little guy with a really bad temper.
Okay.
They thought, well, everyone needs to break the rules now and then, and Alf's no different. Then they started chucking plates, and, then Alf said, I gotta go for this, and Paul said, no, it's a trick. And I can't remember what it was there. Then finally, Alf gave up Paul because Paul said, Alf asked Paul, I thought you were my friend. And then Paul said, because, Alf is still imitating Paul with ventriloquism. Because he's throwing his voice into this doll. It's his alter ego. And said, I lied. And then Larry said, is this the kind of friend you want? And then finally Alf threw Paul away. Just, no more Paul. So, oh boy. It was a funny episode, but it does warn it. It's hilarious. It was hilarious, but it does warn about ventriloquism. I don't think I could do ventriloquism, but have you ever heard the dangers of ventriloquism, I guess? No. If you have a ventriloquist dummy, there have been some thrillers, some horror movies made about people who have a ventriloquist doll who can actually use the doll to kill. It's their alter ego. Their murderous alter ego. But if you have a ventriloquist dummy, you can actually project your feelings onto the dummy. I don't know much about psychiatry or that kind of thing, but it explored that.
I wouldn't put any credence in that, I wouldn't put credence in that.
Really? I've never done ventriloquism. I don't think it's my kind of thing,
Ventriloquism, all that is, it's just an art form. All it is you're throwing your voice, and you're not moving your lips.
I don't know how to do that.
Well,
I couldn't do it.
There's a trick to it. I think it's Sherry Lewis. I don't know if you remember her. She had a Sherry Lewis and Lamb Chop and Hush Puppy and Charlie Horse.
Oh, yeah.
She was a famous ventriloquist.
Interesting.
For children's show. And she had a character called Lamb Chop, which is a little lamb on her hand. And it was just the cutest little...
Interesting.
But no, I wouldn't put credence in
Interesting.
all that. So I think you've been watching too much of those horror flicks or something,
Well, I saw one in the 80s that was really good. I can't even remember its name, but it was a thriller about this psychotic killer.
They always make fun of ventriloquists in these horror films, and that's so unfair to the ventriloquist.
Interesting.
And there's other ventriloquists of the past, too, that they've had besides Sherry Lewis.
Interesting, yeah.
Children's shows that have them.
Interesting, yeah. I guess it was a good Alf episode. We were talking about...
I'm sure it was funny.
It was hilarious.
I didn't see it, so I
thought it was hilarious.
Episode.
Thing is, we were talking about psychologists in television, so Alf did have one named Larry, because Alf sometimes needed, one time they did one about addiction. They didn't have Larry, and I'm kind of confused on this one, but Alf was bored, of course. He became addicted to eating cotton balls and cotton. It worked for Melmacian like alcohol addiction. So
Okay.
he didn't like the styrofoam or something fiber that made him feel bloated and unattractive. But the
That sounds kind
cotton.
of amusing there.
It was funny. And the cotton is so wonderful and it's so incredible.
Uh-huh.
And have you ever heard of that song? Dun dun da 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 dun dun.
Yeah,
What is that song?
Wait. New York, New York.
Yeah, New York, dun dun da da da. So sometimes he would dance alone. Hey, I'm dancing alone. Who needs you people? Let's go put on Hemingway and New York and get fibered. And of course Willie said no, and then Al said, "Who needs you? I'm dancing alone in the living room, dun dun dun, and there's no music." And Willie realized we have got to get Al some help. He's addicted to eating cotton. So they had a support group for people who needed to quit smoking, and they were going to meet at Willie's house, while Alf stayed in the not the restaurant, the kitchen, and listen into this support group. So maybe he could, have some therapy or realize what his problem is about the cotton. And Willie had to pretend to be an addict from smoking and that kind of thing. And I mean, it was so hilarious. And they even, Alf asked, why are you getting cat food? And Willie and it's Kate said, "We've gone to a lot of trouble for you." And Alf asked, "How much?" Some of the dialogue on Alf was so funny. How much trouble it is to open up a couple of cans of Kitty Queen? So she went into the living room and said, "This is not cat food." And the whole group was staring at them. They must have thought both of them had lost their minds. And finally,
because they couldn't tell them they have an alien.
Exactly.
Okay, I get it.
But it was so funny. And finally, Alf was kind of depressed over missing Melmac and all the whole things. He wanted to go home, and Willie was there. And then he went back. Then the leader of the group finally went and said, "Hey, Alf, hide under the table." And the group leader was saying, "Is everything okay, Willie?" And he said, "Yeah. Where's your wife?" "Probably just getting more pate." "Who are you yelling at?" "Willie, I guess I must have been yelling at myself. It was me."
I see.
And then this leader said, "Hey, I don't know if we can do about the yelling at yourself part. That's more yelling at yourself to go home part. That's more than we can deal with this in this group, And I said, "Well, tell everyone thanks. I'm okay now." It's so embarrassing,
I see.
And there was this person who just always washed his hands, but even when he finally, Willie needed to go, talk to Alf, this poor guy, who was in this therapy group said,
Okay.
"Willie's more messed up than I am." I mean, of course, having Alf as such a stressor,
Yeah.
even the therapist said, "You're under a lot of stress lately, Willie, aren't you?" And Willie said, "If you only knew."
I see.
He couldn't say, "I'm an alien who's a talking dog with a cotton disorder," with an alien from Melmac with a cotton disorder. It was just funny.
Yeah. Is that your favorite show?
Alf, it's one of them. My favorite show is, of course, Battlestar Galactica,
Oh, yeah.
but
That
Alf
still
is
comes
on
out,
the top
doesn't it?
10, yeah.
Yeah.
Alf, I have all the episodes on DVD, thankfully.
About?
Yeah, someone ordered special for me, and I paid him just all the episodes of Alf on DVD.
Okay.
That was really nice. I even have hardly scratched the surface on some of them,
Oh, you just ordered the whole series, right?
I did, yeah. So
Where
that's
did you
somewhere
get that series from?
on the internet. My friend ordered it on the internet on Amazon.
Good for you.
It was really nice, yeah.
I get it.
But that was funny. Yeah, and Al finally then was having sort of trying to stay clean and sober. Even he had a dream sequence.
Okay.
It was back to New York. All of
Well, I played that for you. a while
exactly
ago.
all the Tanner family was in tuxedos and canes, and they were looking at Al going, dun dun da da da
Okay.
dun da da dun da. And Alf woke up from a nightmare. It's like, and then Lynn said, "Are you having that dream again?" He said, "Yeah. It's staying clean and then sober is going to be a lot more, just a lot harder than I thought." I think the dream. I'm no expert on dreams, but he was probably dreaming, just coming down off the cot, and also dreaming that the Tanner family was driving him crazy. And that's probably why he took to cotton and all this other stuff. I mean, he kind of was tired of living with the Tanners after a while. Do you remember the last episode of Alf? I keep rambling on and on.
That's okay. I'm not familiar with that show.
Well, the last episode of Alf, he had contacted his old shipmates, let's see, Skip and Rhonda. Rhonda was his girl when he was on, and they were going to get another planet since Melmac was destroyed, but they needed a deposit, and even Kate said, I can do that. So they were going to pick these two survivors. Skip and Rhonda were going to pick up Alf in their spaceship and head to another planet to colonize it. Well, at the end, they were looking at it, and they went off to this one field, but unfortunately, the ship came, but then disappeared when the alien task force showed up.
Okay.
And they kidnapped Alf, and that was how the series ended.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. But it was interesting. I saw the movie. They did a movie later based on Alf,
Oh, I didn't
and
know
his
that.
experiences with the alien task force. You see, they always had to hide Alf from the alien task force. One of their neighbors turned them into an alien task force. This was in the first episode. Would want to dissect Alf, do medical experiments, that kind of thing.
Really?
So they had to hide him from the alien task force, a government agency that was kidnapping aliens. In this movie, they did experiments on
So
him.
they captured him in the movie.
Yes, but at the same time, they were very nice to him. They didn't dissect him. As a matter of fact, the people in the alien task force actually loved Alf. They would play cards with him. They would do some medical experiments, and they would talk. And actually, Alf seemed a lot happier. Alf seemed a lot more happier with these people than he did with the Tanners. The Tanners had to go into witness protection from the federal government, ended up in Africa because, they ended up testifying against Alf that he had terrorized the Tanner home for 4 years. But Alf was a lot happier.
Okay.
Alf was a lot happier. Finally, after some misadventures with some people wanting to use Alf for other things, finally it was chosen by a judge that the alien Alf can stay here, but he is to be treated with all the tender loving care and all the respect and all the creature comforts that is his right and is his due. He's no longer going to be subject to medical testing. Just let him enjoy life with the alien task force, but he can have beer, cards, TV, whatever he wants. And that it was a happy ending.
Oh, okay. Well,
It was interesting. It was interesting. I kind of...
Maybe I'll stumble across it. And see
It was
that
a movie
sometime.
made in around 1995 or 94, 3.
Okay.
I can't remember. It's been so long, but it was a fun movie. And it's odd. Alf just seems so much happier, without the Tanners.
So that was an actual movie.
Yes.
called Alpha.
It wasn't in the theaters.
Okay.
It wasn't in the movie theater. It was a made-for-TV special.
Oh,
A made-for-TV movie, about an hour and a half.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. I didn't know
Yeah.
that they had done that.
Yeah, thing is, I've seen every episode of Alf, millions
You
of
got the
times.
whole-
Yeah.
got the whole season, so you
And,
can just take
you
your
know,
time watching it.
One of the first things I did when I moved out on my own in 1986, it came on around 1987, 88. I just fell in love with Alf, and I would laugh myself sick at that show. My allergies.
Tissue right there. There's a tissue behind
Yeah,
you.
in many ways, I think it was as funny as Gilligan's Island.
It probably sounds like it. Sounds like it.
I just love it. An extraterrestrial crash landing into a home
Yeah.
and getting bored to death and testing everyone's patience, but they still love him. I mean, one time he was bored out of his mind.
Uh-huh.
And guess what he did? He flooded the basement with water.
Oh, goodness.
So, the opening credit was my allergies, folks. Especially when talking
That's right. Take your time.
for so long, and I've been talking.
It's fine. I mean, we haven't done a cafe in a while.
Yeah.
So that's,
Well, anyway, this is hilarious.
uh-huh.
Willie came into the living room,
Okay.
had a mop bucket, threw the mop bucket down, and said, "Alf, why did you flood the basement?" And Al said, I've answered so many times. And he said, just tell me again, why you flooded the basement. And Alf said, I wanted to build an indoor skating rink. And then Willie asked, and how are you going to freeze the water? By turning the air conditioner on high, Alf said. And then Willie said, I'm going to go outside and rent a pump. Just tell me again why you flooded the basement. And I said, it's pretty obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Indoor skating rink, holiday on ice. Allergies. It didn't happen that way. Willie didn't have allergies, but then
Okay.
Willie said, I'm going to go out and rent a pump. Just tell me again why you flooded the basement. Alf said, just go rent your pump.
Okay.
And Willie said, now I'm going to rent a pump. Oh,
I'll have to watch
Oh.
those or something. I didn't see an episode there.
it was so funny. It was about...
You gonna make it there, Emmett? You gonna make it there?
I hope so. I've been talking for so long.
Well, why don't you relax and let me talk, and
All
we'll
right.
talk about the sound of music.
That's a good idea.
Sound of music.
When my allergies attack, they...
Well, you can have it. Bring that near if you need. Just have a seat, and I'll do some talking for a while.
Please. I hate it when I was on a roll.
That's okay. I'm glad you got all that out of your system about Alfred.
Not
It sounds
really,
like a
not
fun
yet.
show. Well, you relax your voice, and we'll change the subject
Please.
there, and we'll talk about the Sound of Music. Now, did you ever see the Sound of Music?
No, I never did, but I've heard the
All right.
soundtrack many
Let
times.
me tell you the synopsis of this show. Now, the Sound of Music is based on it's based on a true story about the real Von Trapp family. Now, basically, in the movie, the guy that's playing the guitar, that's the father, Captain Von Trapp. His wife had died, so he was kind of estranged from his children. And Julie Andrews, her character, she plays a nun. She's about to take her vows and
Yep.
everything. But before she takes her vows, the Mother Superior has her, sends her on an assignment to go out into the world to make sure, because, you know, once you make those vows, you know,
Yes.
it's kind of permanent.
It is.
So, the Mother Superior sends,
Allergy time.
that's it.
Folks, this is what an allergy attack looks like.
Okay. Well, maybe I shouldn't have had you talk so much.
Oh, I don't mind. I nearly...
I
needed to talk
while
about
you're
that.
relaxing, let me finish explaining this here. So the Mother Superior sends Julie Andrews' character to be a governess, a housekeeper, you might say, for the Von Trapp kids. And during her time there, she helps Captain Von Trapp reconnect with his 7 children and stuff like that. And she teaches the kids how to sing.
Oh, yeah,
And
interesting.
just does some fun things, you know. They like go out and about in the city, and she makes clothes for the children and stuff like that. Meanwhile, Captain Von Trapp is engaged to another woman. But over time, Julie Andrews starts falling for Captain Von Trapp. So she freaks out and she leaves the children behind and she goes back to the convent and she's like ready to get out. And she's afraid. She wanted to do that because she didn't want to face the fact that she was falling in love with Captain Von Trapp. So the Mother Superior got her to realize that if you get married, that's a gift from God too.
Yep.
Or if you stay single, that's a gift from God. So the Mother Superior makes Maria go back and face her fear and face her falling for Captain Von Trapp. And eventually, Captain Von Trapp breaks off his engagement to the woman he was engaged to, and he gets together with Julie Andrews' character, who's not really a nun anymore at this point. And then the Nazis take over after they get married, and so the Nazis were going to try to force Captain Von Trapp to serve in that military. He didn't really want to serve in that military because he didn't like what they represented.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the film, the nuns with Mother Superior, they helped the Von Trapp family escape from Austria and from the
Mhm.
takeover of the Nazis. So it's a pretty interesting film.
Interesting.
It is, yeah. And it had some beautiful music
Mhm.
throughout the film, but it had
Yeah.
a really interesting message
Yeah, interesting.
about resisting
Yeah.
the takeover and
Interesting.
everything like that.
I heard it over and over and over again in the Wakefield Junior High in the special ed. It was in Tucson, Arizona, in the special ed class I was going to in 7th grade. It was my last year of school in Tucson. Every day, the teacher would put on that record,
Which one?
the soundtrack to The Sound of Music,
Is that the Julie Andrews version?
the original.
Well, why would they do that? I don't understand.
Just to, for us children to listen to music other
Oh, you
than
mean
rock music and get
Well,
more
I understand
exposed.
that, just exposure, because a lot of kids, they're into that rock music, and there's more to like than that. So I can
And that's why the teacher did it.
I see. Well, I can understand
Yeah.
that.
And also some classical music, but mostly they were what we would call the chestnuts,
Uh-huh.
Beethoven's Fifth, some other thing. And I didn't care not much for Beethoven's Fifth. Dun 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 dun. Dun. I never cared much for that symphony. I cared for other Beethoven symphonies. I even have Beethoven's First, and I love Beethoven because on PBS they used to have Beethoven's symphonies on PBS 1983, and I always used to watch them all the time.
Okay.
I never cared for Beethoven's Fifth, and it's most famous.
Yeah, it's called the Symphony in C minor.
Yeah, I
believe
didn't
is
care
the
for it
name.
because maybe I don't like music in minor key. Yeah, that's been so overdone.
Well, it's really a beautiful piece of work, though, if you think about it. It may not be
I
everybody's
prefer it in
favorite.
things in major key, but anyway, Anyway, I've heard the soundtrack to The Sound of Music over and over again.
Now, did
This
she play the whole soundtrack of the movie, or just a few songs?
the songs from the soundtrack, The Sound of Music.
Okay.
The song "What Do We Do with a Sister Like Maria" is burned in my brain because I listen to it over
Now,
and
let me
over.
tell you the synopsis of that. Basically, before Mother Superior sends Julie Andrews' character out, she would always go up into the mountains. It's based on, I think it's based on a book of songs. She would go up in the mountains and look up, that my help comes from the Lord kind of thing. That's what I think that's based on. And so she was always late for mass and stuff because she'd be up in the mountains. So that's why the nuns were singing, "What are we going to do about Maria?" Because she was always late because she'd be up in the mountains and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Just food for thought.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, that's just what that song's about.
Yeah. But oh yeah, some of my favorite things and da 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 da.
Yeah,
that was
I'll
another
play,
one.
I'll play some of that.
Yeah, they that was on that soundtrack too. They were singing that last week on last Saturday on the Lawrence Welk show, as a matter of fact.
Really?
Yep. I still love those reruns of the Lawrence Welk show.
Me too.
Yep. Norma Zimmer, the Champagne lady, often would sing Edelweiss or some other things from The Sound of Music, I've asked you this a million times and I keep forgetting. Is Norma Zimmer still alive or not? No, I thought so, yeah. She's gone to heaven. She was a very devout Christian, I know that.
She's been gone for quite some time.
Yep.
In fact, that whole generation is just about
Yeah, yeah.
Myron Freeman's gone.
Yep.
Norma Zimmer's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of those people, a lot of the band members are gone.
Yeah.
and things
They
like
must
that.
be having a Lawrence Welk reunion in heaven then with the maestro himself.
Yeah, he's gone too. So.
Yeah, so the
But that show was such a fun, wholesome.
I just loved it. Yeah.
Show and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. But Norma Zimmer, she was just a unique, interesting.
Yeah, she was. She had a beautiful voice.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Really, really. And we're almost out of time. This just went
Yep.
by so
Yeah.
quick.
Well, anyway, I'm not going to be able to do a second show because of my voice, obviously.
Don't worry about that. Just one show is all I need to do
Yeah.
anyway. But it was fun having you.
It
back
was.
here
And the synopsis, just to briefly,
go ahead.
the one about that elf episode where he flooded the basement.
Uh-huh.
Well, he got a phone call, a mysterious phone call,
Okay.
and anyway, basically, or was it that he wanted to flood the house, or I can't remember,
Okay.
but he got a mysterious phone call, said, "Hello, are you Gordon Shumway?" "Yes." "We know you're an alien, and we're going to visit you soon." And then there was a hang up,
Mhm.
and I hung up, I thought, Al thought it's the alien task force. But don't panic.
Okay.
Willie will help you out. He always does. And he looked at the floor. He realized, I'm toast.
Okay.
He tried to tell Willie, look, I have gotten some threatening phone calls from the alien task force. They know I'm an alien. They know him.
Okay.
And what he did, Willie said, did he say anything unusual? He said, "We know who you are. Don't talk to us like that, Pinhead." And Willie said, "You calling me Pinhead?" He said, "No, I would never call you Pinhead. Not to your face." But then, at 3 a.m. in the morning, then finally, Alf decided to turn himself into the alien task force, so he took the car.
Okay.
Then there was a loud knock, at 3 a.m. in the morning, and there were some 3 people in suits with a warrant to search the house and said, "I understand, are you Mr. Willie Tanner? I understand that you're having an alien in your home." And he said, "What?" "That's right, an undocumented resident. We were flagged when they got so many magazines, and we don't even know who this Gordon Shumway is."
Mm-hmm.
They had a warrant to search the house, and Willie said, "There are no aliens and no illegal aliens," because they thought they were going to find Alf.
Well, save your voice so you don't start coughing again.
Yeah.
You can just tell the story fine if you want. Go ahead.
But anyway, then they got the letter that from Alf that Alf had written a note saying,
Okay.
a letter saying, "I've turned myself into the alien task force. I would rather be cut into chipped beef than have you in trouble, because you've been taking care of me. You're welcome. And then don't worry, I'm going to park the car on this side of the road. Don't worry, no one will want to steal it."
Okay.
Of course, they didn't find Alf, but they called Willie Pinhead. "Don't mess with me, Pinhead." And
Yeah.
then they left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they didn't find anything, and Willie Tanner said, "That's exactly who Alf said on the line, said Pinhead. Oh, my Alf must be absolutely terrified. We got to find him." So they did, and Alf was walking down the road or something, and Willie had to explain, "Yeah, they came, but they didn't think you were an alien. They thought you were an illegal alien."
Oh,
and
I see. Yeah.
then Alf said,
Okay.
"I turned myself in because of semantics. I almost turned myself in because of semantics," and they went home, and it turned out this rogue federal agent got in trouble with the government for shaking down illegals, and he was fired, pending an investigation. So it had a happy ending, but that was another interesting one.
Okay. I'll have to-
Oh, I love
watch
Alf.
that
It was
one.
hilarious.
We can have your watch. I'm going to sign out here in a few minutes because we're done now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this just went by so quickly like it always does, and it's such a delight having you.
Oh,
back.
thanks. That's wonderful.
And I'm glad you hung out with me on the cafe
Yeah.
today. That was so fun.
It was a lot of
You're
fun.
always welcome anytime.
I just loved
There's
it,
so
yeah.
many things we could talk about on the show
Yep.
and so on. But yeah, I'm very humbled. It's season 16.
Yeah. Look at this beautiful laser cut. Beautiful. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. Well, are there any final words you want to say?
I thought up a new surreal song this morning.
All right.
Oh, I love my I can't go without my coffee in the morning because it always sticks its tongue out at me. I can't go without my coffee in the morning. What a fascinating pyramid sticks its tongue out at me. Wasn't that surreal?
I didn't even play for that. It's well to hear
Yep.
what you were going to say.
Yep.
All right, well, like I stated earlier, Emmett and I are on the set of The Sound of Music with Fan Track
Yep.
Family. And, it's amazing, the generations that have gone by since The Sound of Music came
Yes.
out. It's really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So just food for thought. This actor that plays, I think he's in his 80s now.
Oh.
Christopher Plummer was his name, or is his name. He's still with us.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Christopher Plummer, isn't he the one that played Grand Moff Tarkin in Star Wars?
I don't know.
I think he was.
I don't know, but he's still here.
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah. But The Sound of Music is probably the best musical in musical history, they call it, you know, stuff like that. Just a wonderful musical with beautiful music too, and so on. And Julie Andrews is my favorite singer of all time anyway. She's my favorite singer. So, and I think she's like 80-something herself.
Interesting.
Now. So just food for thought, just the generations are going by.
Yeah, and I can't plug products into the Zimcat, but if you ever get a chance to Google up Alf, I think you're going to find it one heck of a funny show, or find it somehow, or watch it. You're going to love it. It is so funny.
Yeah.
That lasted from 86 to 1990. Hilarious.
86 to 90? Yeah.
Then they did that made-for-TV movie, you know.
Okay. Well, on that note, we'll end this first episode of season 16. I'm your host, Asaph Adonai, and again, immediately on my left, affectionately our aging rocket.
Yep.
And so until our next show, Maranatha.
It felt good to be on the cafe again, I'll tell you. Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Emmett.
You want any more of the secret ingredient or not?
Yeah, I'll take some more of that.
Wait, where's your cup?
Right here.
There, yeah, you need some of that secret ingredient. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's not alcohol, don't worry. They don't allow us to have alcohol on the set, you know, so that's just a draw.
Yeah, that's right. Well, just have a seat, take yourself at home, and I'll shut everything down and we'll just talk some more. Thanks for being part of this season 16.
Certainly. Again.